Heartwarming rescue. Millionaire discovers little girl, transforms her life in incredible 30 days. Jack Thompson stepped out of his sleek black car, the town of Maplewood barely recognizable before him. Once a bustling hub of laughter and joy, the streets were now weary, marked by overgrown weeds and boarded-up storefronts. The weight of his father's recent passing loomed over him like a dark cloud. His father, a beloved veteran and community hero, had devoted his life to serving others. Now Jack, a millionaire and an island in his own success, felt hollow, a remnant of what used to be. He wandered into the old community center, the place where his father had spent countless hours teaching kids the importance of giving back. As he stood there, memories flooded back, kids running around, laughter filling the air. But today, silence greeted him. That's when he noticed her. A small figure with bright, defiant eyes stood by the crumbling entrance. Mia, an 8-year-old girl dressed in oversized clothes, but her spirit shone brighter than the sun peeking through the clouds. "Hi, I'm Mia. What's your name?" she chirped, a spark of energy in her voice. "Jack," he replied, surprised by her enthusiasm. She shared tales of her dreams, becoming an astronaut to help the planet and drive away poverty. She spoke in a way that made Jack's chest tighten with emotion, her words laced with hope even though her reality was grim. Her mother lost her job, they struggled, but Mia never faltered, dreaming of a better tomorrow. Jack's heart stirred. Here he was, a millionaire in a town that had crumbled, while this little girl carried dreams despite the burdens of life. He felt a rush of determination to change things for her, to breathe life back into this community. He couldn't just walk away. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With Mia as his guide, Jack committed to a 30-day plan of transformation. They filled afternoons painting a community mural, a vibrant explosion of colors that began to restore some life to the drab walls. He set up after-school tutoring, eager to give the kids a chance to dream like Mia. Jack even organized a job fair, bringing hope to families like hers, hoping to lift them from the shadows of despair. Joy bubbled up inside him as he shared simple meals with Mia's mother, laughter echoing into the stars. They were building something beautiful together, yet Jack remained haunted by a fear that clung tightly to his heart. The whispers of doubt from the townsfolk wrinkled his sense of mission. Was he just a rich man trying to buy goodwill? Then it happened. During a heated community meeting, accusations flew like arrows. Jack stood at the front, wanting to unite the town, but feeling the walls close in around him. Anguished faces surrounded him, some recognizing him only as the millionaire. The hope he'd fought for began to dim as voices rose in anger. In that moment of despair, he caught sight of Mia. Her eyes sparkled with hope, a reminder of why he was here. The struggle to bridge the gap between wealth and community would test him further than he had imagined. As the arguments raged on, Jack was left to wonder, would he be able to bring the town together, or would old biases tear apart this newfound bond? Jack stood at the front of the room, tension wrapping around him like a thick fog. People were shouting, voices clashing in a storm of anger and misunderstanding. Some saw him as a savior, others viewed him as an outsider barking orders. Each accusation struck him like a physical blow. You don't understand our struggles. What do you know about hard work and sacrifice? The emotions swirled, creating a maelstrom of doubt within him. But then, from the corner of his eye, he saw Mia again. Her small form sat cross-legged on the floor, her innocent gaze locked onto his. She seemed unaffected by the chaos, her face a picture of unwavering belief. In that moment, Jack felt a flicker of resolve reignite within him. Here was a child, a beacon of hope, and she was depending on him to bring about the change she dreamed of. "Everyone, please!" Jack raised his voice, desperation fueling his words. The room quieted slightly, though tense whispers still echoed. "I know I'm not from here. I've had a life most of you can't even begin to imagine. But I came back because I want to help, to give back. We can build a community together, but it can't be just me. It has to be all of us." A heavy silence followed, the weight of his plea hanging in the air. Jack searched the faces before him, looking for some sign that his words had made an impact. Slowly, he spotted a hand rise. It belonged to Mrs. Henderson, a longtime resident and respected figure in the community. "Jack," she said calmly, her voice steady, "why should we trust you? How do we know you're not just another rich man with a plan that suits you?" Jack inhaled sharply. He understood her skepticism. He'd shared it not long ago. "You're right to question my motives. I've never been in your shoes, and I can't pretend to understand your struggles. But I do care about this town because it mattered to my father. He believed in community, and I want to honor him by helping us become stronger together." Murmurs of discontent danced through the audience, but he pushed forward. "We have plans for tutoring programs, job fairs, community projects, all of which need every one of you. We can help families like Mia's, bring life back to our streets, but it takes teamwork, it takes trust, and that starts with you giving me a chance." Mia's eyes were wide, filled with a spark of belief. It felt like time stretched, every second heavy with uncertainty. Then a voice broke through the haze. Maya, a teenager who had once been part of the Mural project. "I think we should give him a chance," she said, her voice trembling but firm. "He's listened to us, and he's shown up." Others began to nod, their expressions shifting from guarded skepticism to cautious curiosity. Jack's heart raced as more voices joined in, soft smiles breaking through frowns. Maybe they could come together, not as divided factions, but as a community reclaiming their joy. But just as Jack thought the tide was turning, a sharp voice cut through the newfound hope. "And what guarantees do we have that this isn't just a gimmick? What happens when you get bored and leave?" It was Frank, a prominent figure in the local trade union, arms crossed defiantly. Jack's heart sank at the challenge. He needed a solid answer, something real to reassure the room. "I'll be here personally," he replied, feeling the weight of each word. "We'll work together as long as it takes. And if I step back, I'll ensure there's a team in place that will continue the work." Every eye in the room was on him now, and he could feel the pressure mounting. This was his moment. He needed to draw them in, not push them away. The conviction surged back. "Let's meet again next week. We'll plan this together. I want your recommendations, your ideas. Let's make it a community effort, not just mine. Who's with me?" A murmur spread through the crowd, slowly transforming from doubt to recognition. Could they really do this together? But as the discussions resumed, something nagged at him, the doubt that had lingered just outside the door. Was this just the beginning of deeper resentments? Jack understood their apprehensions, and he would have to face them head on. As people began to leave, he spotted Mia weaving through the crowd, her little fingers brushing against the walls he had painted with her. Her smile was radiant, innocent. "Are you okay?" she asked, her concern genuine. "I am, Mia, but I know it won't be easy." "Then let's make it great, together." He smiled at her enthusiasm, feeling a swell of hope, yet the weight of doubt still curled in the corners of his mind. What if his efforts unraveled before he even had a chance to figure it all out? That night, as Jack sat alone in the community center, the echoes of voices still rang in his ears. Would their trust hold? Would he truly be able to change Maplewood, or lose everything he had built in just a moment? And as he pondered those questions, he felt a stirring in his heart. Something told him he hadn't seen the last of the challenges ahead. What truths remained hidden in the shadows of Maplewood, waiting for their moment to surface? Jack woke the next morning with the weight of unanswered questions still pressing on his chest. The sun filtered in through the curtains, illuminating the vibrant mural on the wall, but it did little to lighten his mood. He tossed back the covers and sat at the edge of his bed, staring at the floor, his mind racing. What if Frank's skepticism held merit? What if he couldn't deliver? He picked up his phone, scrolling through messages from old friends and photos from his past life. The glamour, the fancy parties, all of it felt so empty right now. He put the phone down and glanced out the window. Maplewood was still waking up. There were kids riding their bikes and neighbors greeting each other. Life continued, but he felt strangely detached from it all. He headed to the community center, the only place that felt like home since his return. With each step, the heaviness in his heart began to lift a little. As he pushed open the door, he was greeted by the familiar scent of toffee and the sound of community members chatting. Mia rushed to him, her eyes sparkling, excitement bubbling over. "Jack, you won't believe the ideas I thought of," she exclaimed, her hands flapping with animated enthusiasm. Jack knelt down to her level, a smile creeping across his face. "What do you have for me, Mia?" "What if we have art classes for everyone? We could paint the walls and make the town even prettier," she beamed, her little voice filled with a passion he didn't expect. "That's an amazing idea," he encouraged, feeling a rush of pride for her imaginative spirit. If Mia could dream big, maybe he could too. "We'll make sure your idea becomes part of our plan." As they walked through the center together, Jack started jotting down notes. Other residents slowly came in, curiosity drawing them toward the two. They began asking what Jack and Mia were discussing as he shared her idea of art classes. Soon, a group formed around them, energized by the possibility of creative expression. "Could we have a mural that represents our community?" Mrs. Henderson chimed in, her voice now lighter, helpfully nudging the conversation forward. "Yes, and we can make it a community event," Jack agreed, feeling more momentum building. "Everyone will get a chance to paint, and we'll turn it into a festival." The ideas flowed, swapping and expanding like ripples on a pond. Someone suggested a bake sale to fund supplies. Another proposed a talent show featuring local musicians. With each suggestion, Jack could feel apprehensions easing, voices becoming more excited. After brainstorming for a couple of hours, they settled on the plan for a community meeting in just 2 days to finalize their ideas. As everyone began to leave, he caught Mia's eye. "Thank you for believing in me," he told her, feeling a surge of gratitude. "Thank you for listening," she replied, her joy lighting up her face. He watched her skip away, her confidence radiating like sunshine. Just then, Frank approached him, crossing his arms again. Jack felt his heart race, unsure of what to expect. "You made some good moves today," Frank said, the edge of his voice softening. "But this is only the beginning." Jack nodded, appreciating the warning. "I know I have to earn your trust, and the trust of the others. I'm ready for the challenge." With a faint nod, Frank stepped back, but there was something different in his posture, a begrudging respect forming. Later that night, as Jack lay in bed, he replayed the day's events. They were small victories, but they felt monumental. Each moment spent with the residents reassured him they were opening up, seeing the potential of what their community could be. But could it all hold together? Jack turned off the light and pulled the covers snug around him. Dreaming of murals and laughter, he felt a flicker of hope ignite within. But the looming question nagged at him. Is this really where the hard part began? Little did he know, the complexities of Maplewood were only beginning to reveal their true colors. The next morning dawned bright and warm, but Jack felt the chill of uncertainty still lingering in his bones. He had a lot to do, and the upcoming community meeting weighed heavily on his mind. With breakfast barely touched, he slipped out of his house and headed towards the community center. As he walked, he focused on what needed to happen, how to harness the excitement from yesterday, turn ideas into action. When he reached the center, he paused for a brief moment before entering, taking a breath to steady his nerves. Today was about invigorating the town, a tall order, but he felt more than ready for it. Upon stepping into the building, he was met with the familiar smells and sounds of chatter, laughter, and the rich aroma of fresh coffee. Mia was already there, her hands smeared with what looked like paint. "I've been practicing for the mural," she announced, grinning widely. Jack laughed. "Looks like you've got a head start. What have you painted?" "A tree. It's going to be huge. A tree where everyone can hang their wishes," she said, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "That's brilliant, Mia. We've got to share that idea at the meeting." As residents trickled in, Jack felt the environment shift. There was new energy among everyone. People were showing up, eager to brainstorm and contribute. It was a refreshing change from the apathy he had sensed before his return. As the meeting began, Jack stood at the front, scanning the room filled with familiar faces, all eager to be involved. "Thank you all for coming. This is our chance to build something great together," he started, feeling genuine excitement. "Let's transform Maplewood into a more vibrant place for all of us." Hands shot up with suggestions. They talked about not just a mural, but ways to involve schools, maybe even reaching out to local artists. Ideas for classes, a weekend festival, and local vendors turned the gathering into a bubbling pot of creativity. Each suggestion made Jack's heart swell. This was community spirit at its finest. But amidst the excitement, Frank's steady gaze silently watched. Jack felt the unspoken pressure weighing on him. This was a pivotal moment. Failure would not just reflect on him, but on the entire community that depended on this initiative. With the meeting moving on, Jack noticed Mrs. Henderson sitting quietly, her expression unreadable. "Mrs. Henderson, do you have anything to add?" he asked, hoping to draw out her thoughts. "I do, actually. I'm proud of the passion in this room. she said slowly. But remember, not everyone feels included. Some folks struggle with change, and that can make them resistant. Her words struck a chord. Could he really ensure that everyone felt involved? This wasn't just about paint and festivals. It was about breaking barriers and reconnecting lives. Thank you for that insight, Jack responded, nodding seriously. We need to make sure everyone feels valued in this process. Ideas are great, but connection is what makes us stronger. The meeting continued, ideas flowing like the warm sunlight streaming through the windows. As they discussed tangible next steps, Jack felt hope blooming. Later, as the crowd began to thin, Mia tugged on his shirt. Jack, are we really going to do it? All of it? Jack knelt down, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We absolutely are. We're going to paint our dreams, Mia. But what if it doesn't work the way we wanted? She asked, her question lingering in the air. His heart tightened. We'll work it out, together. But inside, he wondered if he truly held the answers. As everyone left, the weight of responsibility settled back onto him. Jack took a deep breath and looked around the center, seeing the potential staking ground for their dreams. However, a new doubt flooded him. Could he really bring everyone together, or was he just setting them up for disappointment? With unease stirring in the pit of his stomach, he mulled over the upcoming days. Could hope drive real change, or was it just a fleeting dream? That night, as he lay in bed, thoughts of the meeting replayed in his mind. He needed to seize this chance with both hands. Yet, in the depths of his resolve, something loomed. What if the fear of failure stifled their transformation before it could even begin? The sun rose again on Maplewood, and Jack's determination had not waned. He rose out of bed with a sense of purpose, the weight of yesterday's meeting still fresh in his mind. Today was about action, about doing something meaningful that would echo through the town they all called home. The distant smell of breakfast wafted in from the kitchen, but he barely noticed. He needed to get going, to channel his thoughts into concrete plans. After a quick shower, he laced up his sneakers and stepped outside. The crisp morning air invigorated him, a stark contrast to the nagging doubt from the previous night. As he walked toward the center again, Jack replayed Mrs. Henderson's words in his mind. The goal wasn't just to generate ideas, but to cultivate an environment of inclusion. He needed that feeling of unity to pulse through the heart of Maplewood. Arriving at the community center, he found the door already ajar. Inside, Mia was busily covering a large piece of plywood with her colorful swirls. I brought more paint, she said, a broad smile spreading across her face. She was clearly excited to bring her vision to life. That's great, Mia. We should add more colors, maybe a rainbow? Jack suggested, his heart lifting at her enthusiasm. Yeah, rainbows make everyone happy. She mixed the colors carefully, her expression serious yet innocent. Jack watched her with admiration. This was the kind of spirit the town needed. How about we organize a painting day? Invite everyone to come and contribute to the mural. Mia's eyes widened in surprise. Really? You think they'll come? Absolutely. I think they'll want to be a part of something special. Jack felt a little flutter of excitement at the thought. He wanted everyone to leave their mark, to feel ownership over the project. He grabbed a piece of paper and started jotting down ideas for the painting day. He would need supplies, volunteers, and snacks. Who could resist cookies while painting? The prospect of engaging the town excited him, but he also felt the pressure. What if no one showed up? Pushing that thought aside, Jack sent out a message on social media, and the responses began to trickle in almost immediately. Count me in. Sounds amazing. Can't wait to paint. As more and more people expressed their interest, hope surged within Jack. This could become a moment that rallied the community. But as he basked in the positivity flooding in, he couldn't shake the feeling that Frank might still be lurking in the background. Frank had always been, well, pragmatic. While most liked to keep their heads in the clouds, Frank was focused on the ground beneath their feet. Would he stand at the sidelines questioning the purpose of this mural project? Jack chewed on that thought. Despite the looming worry, he vowed to talk to Frank later. He was determined to understand his concerns and face them head-on. Everyone deserved a voice in this endeavor. With the day's excitement propelling him, Jack joined Mia at the mural site. They worked side by side, each brushstroke pulling them deeper into a colorful vision. But partway through, the joy was interrupted by the sound of a door creaking open behind them. It was Frank, his brow furrowing as he stepped inside the center. What's all this? He crossed his arms, an aura of skepticism draping over his figure. Jack straightened, wiping paint off his hands. We're getting ready for a community painting day. It's going to bring everyone together.
Frank eyed the vibrant colors with suspicion. And what if it doesn't work? This place needs real change, Jack. Feeling a flutter of frustration, Jack knew a battle was brewing. What do you mean? As these words hung in the air, the tension grew, and Jack felt the stirrings of doubt creeping back. Could he convince Frank? Would this mural truly unite Maplewood? Or was it just a dream painted in the air? With that uncertainty lingering, Jack braced himself for a conversation that could change everything. Would this be the moment they either forged a path forward or risked fragmenting the very community he longed to uplift? Jack took a deep breath, his mind racing. Frank's skepticism felt like a cloud overshadowing the warmth of the day. I think art can inspire us, Frank, he replied, trying to hold on to the hope bubbling inside. We need to see each other's colors, not just our differences. Frank's brows furrowed deeper, the skepticism lingering in his eyes. That's all well and good, Jack, but art doesn't solve everything. People need jobs, safety, real solutions. His voice was steady, but Jack could see the concern etched across his face. Maybe, but this is a start. Jack stepped closer to Frank, eager to bridge the gap between their perspectives. Let's not dismiss the small things. Sometimes it's the little moments, like painting a mural together, that spark bigger changes. Frank sighed, the tension in his crossed arms softening just a touch. You really believe that? I do, Jack said, feeling the weight of his own conviction. If we can gather everyone, create something beautiful together, maybe it can lead to discussing what we really need for our community. And that might bring the real change, step by step. For a moment, silence filled the room, and Jack held his breath, waiting for Frank's reply. Finally, Frank nodded, albeit slightly. Okay, but you better have a backup plan if this goes sideways. Jack couldn't help but smile, a small win perhaps. As Frank began to walk away, Jack called out, How about you help me with the preparation? You know a lot of people. Frank turned, a glimmer of intrigue lighting his features. Fine, but I'm not painting, just so you know. Jack chuckled at that. With Frank on board, even in a limited role, it felt like the project was gaining more footing. Mia watched the exchange from the side, her little face painted with curiosity. Do you think he'll really help? She asked, her small voice rising above the hum of excitement that enveloped the room. Jack nodded, glancing at Mia, who had returned to swirling colors onto the board. Yes, I think he might surprise us. For the rest of the day, a mixtape of hues filled the walls of the community center, as laughter and conversations blossomed around them. People began to trickle in, bringing their own brushes, canvases, and of course, snacks. Jack's heart swelled as he watched neighbors exchange playful jabs while mixing paint. Slowly, the center began transforming, not just with the colors, but with a sense of camaraderie that he had longed for. As dusk began to settle, Jack stepped back to admire their progress. The mural was becoming a canvas of Maplewood, a tapestry of individual colors coming together to form something whole. But amidst the joy, a sense of unease slipped back into his heart. Hey, Jack, Mia tugged at his sleeve, her eyes wide. Do you think we can add something for the kids? Like a little part where they can paint their dreams? That's a brilliant idea, Mia, Jack replied, feeling a rush of inspiration. Let's do it. But as they started brainstorming ideas, Frank's voice broke through the buzzing atmosphere. Just remember, Jack, a mural won't fix the town's issues overnight. I know, Jack replied, feeling that twinge of uncertainty again. Yet he couldn't let Frank dim the light they were all generating. But it's a step, and every step matters. With that thought fresh in his mind, Jack squared his shoulders. What if there were deeper divisions at play, underlying the excitement of the day? A mural could draw them together, but would it truly hold against the weight of unaddressed challenges? As night wrapped its comforting shawl around Maplewood, Jack looked around, trying to find confidence in the faces smiling in the glow of colored paints. But a nagging fear crept in. Had he just begun a new cycle, or was he bold enough to break it? A rustle outside caught his attention. He turned abruptly, spotting a shadow lurking just beyond the bright lights of the community center. Was it too late to really change Maplewood, or was this just the beginning of facing the darkness that threatened to overshadow their vibrant dreams? The shadow moved closer, illuminated by the soft glow of the community center lights. Jack could feel his heart speed up. Was it a neighbor, a naysayer, or just a curious passerby? Amidst all the colors and laughter, a wave of uncertainty washed over him. Mia, stay close, he whispered, trying to keep his voice steady.
She was engrossed in her designs, blissfully unaware of his rising unease. He took a few cautious steps towards the exit, fighting against the voice in his head that warned him to retreat. As he reached the door, the figure stepped into the light. A boy, maybe a few years older than Mia. His clothes were worn, a patchwork of faded shirts and frayed jeans. But it was his eyes that caught Jack's breath, wide with a mix of curiosity and something deeper, something almost pleading. "Hey there, Jack," said voice warm but cautious. "You need something?" The boy hesitated, glancing back toward the darkened street, as if unsure whether he stepped closer. "I saw the lights and heard the noise," he said slowly. "What's going on?" "It's a community art project," Jack replied, stepping back to make the door seem less like a barrier. "We're painting a mural together. You're welcome to join us."
The boy's eyes flickered with interest but dimmed just as quickly. "I can't paint. I don't really know how." "Neither do most of us," Jack laughed lightly, trying to spark a sense of possibility. "But that's the fun part. Come on inside. We just want to create something beautiful together." For a moment, the boy stood frozen, caught between the vibrant warmth of the center and the shadows outside. Finally, he took a single step toward Jack, then another, until he was standing at the threshold. "I'm Daniel," he mumbled. "Great to meet you, Daniel. I'm Jack." Jack gestured toward the colorful chaos within. "What do you think?" As Daniel stepped inside, his expression shifted from apprehension to cautious curiosity. He glanced at the walls splashed with color and the faces of children and adults laughing together. It was like a spark ignited in him, even if just for a moment. Mia bounded over, excited. "Hi, I'm Mia. Do you want to help us?" For a heartbeat, Daniel looked surprised, but then slowly he cracked a shy smile. "Maybe." Jack felt that wave of hope wash over him again, stronger this time. Each new person added to their community tapestry, making it more vibrant, more real. But as Daniel picked up a brush, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this moment than met the eye. "Hey, Daniel," Jack said, suddenly aware that they were stepping into something bigger together. "What's your favorite color?" "Blue," Daniel answered quietly. "Like the ocean. I wish I could see it." Jack felt a pang. The ocean was a world away from Maplewood, but he locked eyes with the boy, determined to expand his horizons. "Then why don't we put some ocean waves on our mural? You can lead that part." For a brief second, Daniel's eyes widened with excitement. "Really? I could?" "Of course, it's your art too," Jack encouraged, gesturing for Daniel to step up to the canvas. But just as Daniel began to find his footing, Jack sensed a familiar weight creeping back in. The concern about deep-seated issues they hadn't addressed together as a community. The laughter surrounding them felt almost too fragile against the struggles lurking beneath the surface. As Daniel dipped the brush into blue paint, Jack's heart swelled with bittersweet emotion. He longed for genuine change, but felt the shadows of doubt tightening around them. Could one mural truly do it? With Daniel painting the tentative waves, Jack noticed Frank watching from across the room, arms crossed, still skeptical. And yet, there was something different in his gaze. A glimmer of hope, perhaps. But just as Jack thought the night might hold more possibilities, the door swung open once more, this time revealing a group of older teens whispering among themselves, their expressions a mix of intrigue and hesitation. What would they bring to the community canvas? Jack's mind raced. Would they join in, or would they come to criticize? Hope and anxiety wrestled within him, leaving him breathless. Was this mural merely a backdrop for painted dreams, or could it evolve into something more powerful in the heart of Maplewood? The tension in the room crackled like static electricity. As the three older teens stepped into the community center, Jack felt the collective intake of breath among the crowd. Mia, still buzzing with excitement, waved enthusiastically, her paintbrush raised high, unaware of the shifting atmosphere. Are they here to help or to tear us down? Jack wondered, heart pounding. Daniel was focused on his blue waves, oblivious to the undercurrent swirling around them. He was concentrating hard, the brush gliding along the mural as if it were breathing life into the canvas. "Wow, what's going on here?" one of the teens finally asked, the tallest one adjusting his hood. His voice was casual, but there was a note of curiosity that intrigued Jack. "Just a mural," Jack replied, trying to sound nonchalant while bracing for the worst. "We're painting together as a community." "Looks like kind of a mess," the second teen said, eyeing the wall filled with splashes of color. "You really think this is going to make a difference?" Jack felt his heart drop. Encouragement filled the air one moment, and the next it all felt precarious. But Mia, ever the optimist, chimed in. "It's our mess, and we're turning it into something beautiful. You should try it." A flicker of surprise crossed the teen's face, and it softened the edges of his skepticism. "I don't know. Looks hard."
With that, Jack saw an opening. "Why don't you join us? We need all the help we can get. What's your favorite color?" "Green," he replied reluctantly. "Perfect. We have lots of room for green on the mural." Jack gestured towards a blank space. "Come on, just give it a shot." The tension in the room began to thaw as the teens exchanged uncertain glances. The third one, shorter and with bright eyes, finally stepped forward. "Okay, I'll try." As he took a brush, Jack's hope flickered. Maybe this moment was more than a simple murmur of art. Maybe it was an actual spark of connection. While the teens painted, Jack noticed Daniel glance over occasionally. It was like watching the cautious opening of a flower. Their demeanor began to shift. Laughter bubbled up as they struggled to mimic the strokes on the mural. "Hey, that's a cool wave," Daniel shouted, pointing at the blue he had created, excitement spilling over. "You can do it too." Their attention shifted, and Jack felt a warmth in his chest. Like tiny threads weaving together, these kids were slowly entangling themselves into the community fabric. But just as the mood lightened, he caught Frank's gaze again, heavy and contemplative from across the room. "What are we really doing here?" Frank's expression seemed to say. "Can this mural truly mean something?" Jack pushed the thought aside. The laughter, the color swirling around, the new connections, they meant something. They had to.
As the older teens continued to paint, Daniel moved closer to them, his confidence blossoming. Jack felt a wave of pride roll through him. Maybe they were creating a bridge, connecting lives through shared experiences instead of isolation and skepticism. But just as Jack was letting himself feel that precious optimism, the door swung open again. An elderly woman stood at the entrance, her hands gripping the doorframe as if it were a lifeline. Her gaze scanned the room, landing on Jack, and there was a spark of recognition. "Jack, is that you?" Her voice cracked through the air like thunder. He felt a jolt of surprise. "Mrs. Carter? What are you doing here?" As she stepped forward, eyes shining with something Jack couldn't quite place, he wondered what revelations awaited him. Something was shifting, and the night was just beginning to unfold. What had she come to say? Was this a blessing, or was she here to bring news that would change everything? Jack's heart raced as Mrs. Carter closed the distance between them. He hadn't seen her in years. Back then, she was the kind of person who turned a bad day into a cozy evening with tea and stories. Her warmth was infectious. But now, a mixture of nostalgia and apprehension swelled in his chest. "Jack, dear," her voice trembled. "I've heard about the mural project. I had to come and see it for myself." "Really?" Jack struggled to keep the surprise out of his voice. "It's just a community thing." She shook her head, a soft smile gracing her features. "No, it's more than that. It's about making connections. You're doing such important work here." Just then, the laughter of the other teens caught their attention. Mia spun around, paint spattering her cheeks, oblivious to the weight of Mrs. Carter's presence. "Hey, Mrs. Carter, you should paint with us." The group turned towards her, and suddenly the atmosphere felt electric again. Jack felt the tension ease, their bubbling enthusiasm creating an unspoken invitation. Mrs. Carter hesitated, glancing at the vibrant chaos of color on the wall. "What color do you like?" Jack asked, trying to pull her back into the moment. "Purple," she replied softly, blinking as if trying to shake off the past. "Then let's hurry, we have a spot with your name on it," Mia exclaimed, grabbing 3 brushes and handing one to Mrs. Carter. After a moment's pause, Mrs. Carter accepted the brush, and Jack watched as her eyes lit up with something he hadn't seen in a long time: joy. As she stepped forward to where the others painted, Jack felt a mixture of pride and relief. It was working. Their mural had already begun forging bonds. Jack's gaze drifted back to the older teens. They were now smearing green, laughing at their uneven strokes, and this feeling of camaraderie kept growing. Even Frank was smiling, painting with an abandon Jack hadn't seen from him before. "Look at this!" "Daniel!" exclaimed, pointing at a patchwork of green that the newest teen had made. "It looks like a jungle explosion." "More like a jungle disaster," came a playful retort from the teen who had once been skeptical of their project, but laughter echoed around the room. Mrs. Carter's strokes became bolder, her laughter intertwining with theirs. Jack felt an incredible warmth as he watched her transform from an observer into a vibrant part of their creative circle. But amidst the joy, a shadow flickered over Jack's heart. Why had Mrs. Carter really come tonight? Was she merely there for the mural, or was she holding on to something deeper, something that might change everything for him?
He brushed the thought aside as he joined them, his own brush filling in vibrant yellows while the room hummed with activity. He was grateful for every moment, every laugh, every brushstroke, and every connection made. Yet, as the night wore on, a weight lingered in Jack's heart. Would the evening reveal Mrs. Carter's intent? She leaned close, and for a moment, their eyes locked. "Jack?" she started, but the words hung between them, heavy with meaning, yet unspoken. As Jack turned around to ask her what she meant, the sound of the door creaking open again pulled their attention away. In stepped a figure he didn't recognize, but something about them felt unsettling. Jack's breath caught in his throat. What could this newcomer mean for their hard-won moment of connection? Would they be a friend seeking to join, or a force threatening to tear them apart? The newcomer stepped into the light, a tall figure, almost draped in shadows. Jack could feel the tension crackle in the air. Was this another skeptic, or a lost soul searching for the camaraderie they'd been establishing? The buzzing energy in the room seemed to falter as everyone turned to face the new arrival. "Can I help you?" Jack called out, trying to keep his voice steady while trying to glean a hint of intent from the stranger's expression. "I heard about the mural," the figure replied hesitantly. "Are you really inviting everyone to paint?" "What's your name?" Jack asked, stepping closer. "Alex," came the reply, barely above a whisper. "Well, Alex, absolutely. We're all about collaboration here," Jack said enthusiastically. "Join us." The warmth of his invitation hung in the air, and with a hesitant nod, Alex stepped forward, a sense of vulnerability visible in their posture. As they approached, Jack noticed that Alex's clothes were slightly worn, a mirror of their hesitation. "What's your favorite color?" Mia piped up, her infectious cheer brightening the atmosphere. Teal," Alex mumbled, but the faintest hint of a smile touched their lips. "Then you've got to help us paint some waves." Mia's eyes sparkled with excitement as she handed over a paintbrush. In that moment, Jack felt something shift. Here they were, a group of colors and laughter, united by hope, creativity, and the desire to connect. This mural was becoming something bigger, evolving beyond mere paint and strokes. It represented healing, bonds, and a shared journey. As Alex picked up the paintbrush, Jack sensed the connection growing deeper. Casting a glance around the room, he noticed old friends and new ones, lost souls and bright spirits, all painting their dreams on the walls of Maplewood. They were turning a simple community project into a symbol of unity. But there stood Mrs. Carter, holding back from the swirling fun, her eyes clouded with thoughts. Jack felt an undeniable tug to address the invisible thread she wove through the evening. "Mrs. Carter," he said gently, "are you okay?" She looked up, startled but softened by the kindness in his voice. I couldn't help but think about how much this town has changed since I was young," she replied, voice wavering. "What you're doing is beautiful, Jack, but it also reminds me of the things we've lost. I've buried my concerns deeply, fearing they'd never come back up." Jack took a step closer. "What's holding you back? It seems like you have something on your heart." "I want to believe, but I've seen too many dreams fade. I don't want you to get hurt," she said finally, tears glistening in her eyes, "or for everyone here to feel that emptiness again." Jack felt a rush of understanding. In this moment, vulnerability shone in the colors they were creating together. "I get it, Mrs. Carter. Growth isn't easy, but we're not alone anymore. We're building something together." He gestured around him, inviting everyone to take part in this emotional journey. A few residents nodded. "Nothing worth having comes without a risk," Frank added, now stepping into the spotlight. "We're all here for a reason, not just to paint, but to face our past together." Jack observed the nods of agreement. The doubt that had loomed over them was beginning to lift, making way for courage to fill the space instead. He turned back to the mural, seeing the waves Alex had begun to paint, the colors swirling together, mixing in perfect harmony. As the night wore on, laughter echoed and paint splattered the walls, a cacophony of hope mingling with every brushstroke. Jack felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. They were doing this, truly doing it, together. "Let me add something," Jack said suddenly, picking up a brush himself. He painted a sun rising over the waves, representing the dawn of new possibilities. Mia hopped up beside him, her brush emanating brilliance. "Let's add rainbows." Her energy sparked joy and affirmation. And so they continued to paint. Hopes and dreams merged into a visible representation of Maplewood's heart. As the mural grew, so did the connections among neighbors. Finally, Jack paused and surveyed the scene. Friends, young and old, connected through art, laughter, and shared tears. The mural wasn't just paint on a wall. It was a canvas that captured a collective rebirth. With a content smile, Jack turned to Mrs. Carter.
We're building hope, one brushstroke at a time, and we'll keep doing it until it's second nature. As Jack looked around, he caught Frank's eye, a hint of mutual understanding now shining between them. They wouldn't just return to the way things were. They were creating something vibrant, meaningful, and lasting. And in that moment, laughter erupted around them. It resonated deep within Jack's heart. Hope was contagious. "Thank you for believing, everyone," Jack called out, raising his brush high. "Let's make Maplewood the canvas for dreams they deserve." Cheers filled the room, and hope spilled into every crevice of their hearts. And with that, Jack realized it was no longer just about a mural. It was about community, resilience, and the beautiful mess of coming together. Those fears and doubts would inevitably rise again, but now they had the strength to handle anything together. Today marked a turning point, a moment where nobody had to paint their dreams alone, a moment that transformed Jack and the people of Maplewood, not just with colors, but with a renewed sense of purpose and connection. In those tender moments, love bloomed, and struggles melted away like ice on a sunlit day. They would face the future together, hand in hand, brush in hand, creating a masterpiece that would stand the test of time. If this isn't a story of transformation, what is? Life comes at us like brushstrokes across a canvas. Create yours boldly. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of helping the channel grow.